to me, is an indictment until they move it. And there's a strong possibility it's still an indictment against the NBA that they're not having it at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Let me ask you this. I was talking to a buddy of mine at work. What's that?
Too political would be an understatement. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Daryl Morey opened his mouth.
Because he said the reason why he didn't watch All-Star Weekend was because of that. I said, first of all, brother, you taking it a step too far. Mm-hmm. But I do see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
From the fact that happened. So I sort of kind of get it. It didn't stop me from partaking, but I could understand if you didn't based on that ground.
You know why I didn't partake in All-Star Weekend? I have a few reasons. I listed most of them on Monday, but I'll list a few of them now in case y'all missed it. And please subscribe to the Snowman in the Morning podcast and Snowman Digital Media so you can hear the replay of not only this conversation but my Snowman's take. Here are a few reasons. It ain't East versus West anymore. It's too corporate for me. The slam dunk contest is a joke.
Somebody got robbed.
Again, we'll get to that in a second. And then the All-Star game itself. The All-Star game itself. Now, I at this sidebar, I love Common. I love what he does. I absolutely adore Common and what he does. Mm-hmm. I met him at Chicago State University while he was getting started in the industry. And I love the fact that he did the introductions. But, and there is a but in this sentence. If you're going to do those kind of introductions, can we wipe out the stage and the staging lights and just have the teams be on the bench and have them be introduced that way, like they did in the old school?
I feel you.
Can we? Yeah. Can we wipe out? Can we wipe out the stage and the dancers and that kind of stuff? It's gotten to be too much.
I think so too.
It's too much. It's too much sizzle and not enough steak as far as I'm concerned. And it's gotten that way with the Pro Bowl, but that's a conversation for another day.
I don't understand, and I guess it happened at the beginning of the 2000s, the beginning of the era, where you sort of kind of see things switch from a pure basketball standpoint to more commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say around the 2000s, maybe the 2005, 2010, something like that?
2005.
Yeah.
2005 in Denver. 2005, we saw that switch happening. And it pissed me off. It upset me that they're taking basketball out of the equation.
Oh, yeah.
They're taking basketball out of the equation. And it's nerve-wracking to me. It's like some of my friends that get it, and I know some of your friends that get it, it ain't basketball anymore. The All-Star Game's not about basketball anymore. And I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. I really don't. Everything boils down to corporate sponsorships and that almighty dollar. Now, I will give them props in terms of renaming an MVP in the name of Kobe Bryant.
I'll give them that. I'll give them that.
But
everything else after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we're just talking about the game, folks. Don't let me get to All-Star Saturday night, which we'll get to in just a few moments.
Talk about a joke.
I
Somebody got robbed.
I had
Oh,
Cole
my
Johnson.
goodness.
I had Cole Johnson on this program yesterday, and I mentioned All-Star Saturday night, and he laughed just about as hard as you did. Because the last time anyone who pays attention to history, and I know there's a lot of basketball buffs who do, the last time my hometown, Chicago, Illinois, hosted the NBA All-Star Weekend, which was, of course, 1988. And there was a fellow at the time by the name of Michael Jordan who was in the league in 1988. And Michael Jordan ruled 1988, except, of course, until June when the Lakers ran the table and repeated as champions. That being said, they did it much better in the old Chicago Stadium in 1988 than they did in the United Center in 2020.
Agreed. Agreed.
It's like there's no homage. Let me say this. The tributes to Kobe, they got right. The tributes to Kobe before the game, they got right. Everything else, they got wrong. And tell me, while we're talking about games, tell me what the hell was that celebrity all-star game they had?
I don't even know why they still do that, man.
It was over at Wintrust Arena. What? You have Stephen A. and Michael Wilbon coaching. There's your first problem.
Yep.
You had ESPN broadcasting it. There's your second problem. And yes, I'm going all the way there. And the biggest problem I have with the All-Star game is when it went from national television to cable in 2003.
I feel you, man. And another thing too, I don't even understand why you even have a celebrity game. Most of these celebrities don't even have a game.
That's one of my gripes. My other gripe is this. Who the hell are half of these people?
I haven't heard of. I'm there with you. I haven't heard of half of them.
No, Asia Wilson, female basketball star, heard of her. Horace Grant, four-time champion, heard of him. Nate Robinson, heard of him. Darius Miles, heard of him. Who the hell are the rest of these people? Save Kevin Hart. Save Kevin Hart. Know who he is. Love Kevin Hart. Okay. But aside of the names I mentioned and a few others who participated, who the hell are the rest of these people?
Right. Exactly.
Because if it's not familiar to me, I only watched the highlights of the celebrity game, and it didn't get my attention until a rule was enacted to start the third quarter where you can add a player. And the first name I hear Michael Wilbon, who's originally from Chicago. I hear Michael Wilbon say, "I get Horace." And my ears perked up, and I turn around, and there's Horace Grant.
Yep.
Why couldn't we bring back... Okay, here's what you do. And this is an idea I've talked about for a while. You wipe out the celebrity game. And you bring back the old timers game. And the way you spice that up is you use the old timers that participated in the host city. Which means, since it was in Chicago, for example, which means Craig Hodges would be back, Horace Grant would be back, hell, Dennis Rodman would make an appearance, Bill Cartwright would make an appearance. Why can't we do that?
Like if you take, outside of the health issue, of some of these older guys. I would love to see some of these guys come back and do their thing.
Yes.
The thing with Dennis Rodman, I'd love to see Dennis Rodman come back.
I want to see Ron Harper come back, too. I want to see Ron Harper come back.
Yeah.
Now,
like I said, outside of health, yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, let's bring back some of the guys from the host city. You wipe out the celebrity game, okay? You bring back the old timers game and use some of the guys from the host city that played for them at one time or another, which unfortunately would include Reggie Theus, but that's another story.
Dang.
I'd rather have Michael Jordan than Reggie Theus, okay?
Yeah,
and the Bulls made that correct move.
Even at 55.
now to one of the biggest farces of the weekend. And people think I'm saying this with a smile on my face. I'm not, because All-Star Weekend has been ruined for me. The 3-point contest.
Your boy Buddy Hill won, yeah.
Now, first of all, if I can selfishly say, I didn't like the 3-point contest because there were no Splash Brothers in it, because they're both out with an injury.
Right.
Second of all, there are two things that have been added to this contest that get on my nerve. And the first thing is that an entire rack of the shooter's choice is filled with the money balls, which means each shot is worth 2 points apiece. That's the first thing. Second thing that's nerve-wracking, because Mountain Dew sponsored the contest, and this leads to your point of corporate espionage, and I'm kidding as I say espionage, but all kinds of corporate hijinks. Here, I'll use that. Why did Mountain Dew sponsor 2 extra shots that actually counted as 3 points?
I don't know.
Who
you brought up a good point too. Didn't mean to cut you off, but you brought up a good point too. No Splash Brothers. Yeah. Back in the day, in the early days, we had people in the 3-point contest that you actually cared about, people that you wanted to see in the 3-point shooting contest.
Yeah.
No Splash Brothers. There's really no one there.
No one for you to get behind and root for or against if you don't like the Splash Brothers. How can you not?
Right.
But there was no one of note in the contest. There was no one of note. There was no... Look, I hate to say this as plain as I'm going to say it, and this is nothing against the people that participated in the contest, like Devin Booker, Buddy Hield, who won the thing, and people of that nature. But can some of these people actually shoot?
Yeah, that's another good point.
Can some of these... I mean, back in Chicago, you had Dale Ellis, you had Detlef Schrempf, you had, of course, the legendary Larry Bird. You had shooters like that can actually shoot the basketball.
I even take you more modern day. John Paxson, Steve Kerr,
B.J. Armstrong. B.J. Armstrong.
Right. That's right.
You know, if you really want to go modern day, let's look at the 90s. I mentioned his name already, Reggie Miller.
Yep, Reggie Miller. You mentioned his name. Yep.
I mean, how about Jeff Hornacek? How about Eddie Johnson? How about Ricky Pierce?
Ooh. Love Eddie Johnson. Love Eddie
How
Johnson
about
back in the day.
how about EJ? I mentioned this guy already, Craig Hodges.
Del Curry.
Steph's father.
Mm-hmm.
How about we have a father and son 3-point contest?
That'd
Michael
cool.
Thompson
That'd
and Klay
cool.
Thompson on one side, Steph and Dell on the other side. Just let them shoot all night.
Or how about we do like I think it was mentioned sometime earlier, maybe late last year. We do like 1-on-1 games.
Yeah, that works. That could be fun. And this is where you get the celebrities involved. Have them play 1-on-1 with somebody that'll smack them around a few times. Let me stop. No. I kid as I say that. Let's you draw names out of a hat, and this is going to sound wrong. And folks, I mean this as a joke, but let's have Kevin Hart match up with Rudy Gobert. That's wrong. That's wrong. Because if people draw my name out of a hat, it'll be my luck. I get matched up with Shaquille O'Neal, and I'll just go flying across the floor and head to the locker room and not come back.
But it may humble some people too, because I remember a First Take interview last year, and Kevin Hart said he's all this and all that, playing in the church leagues. Bruh. Really? Really? We talking about a church league? We're talking about somebody who won an MVP scoring 5 points.
Okay, how?
And being braggadocious about it, bruh. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And now to the biggest farce of All-Star Saturday night. The slam dunk contest.
Robbery.
Folks.
Can you say robbery?
Again? Why was Dwayne Wade one of the judges?
He shouldn't have been. You there was no way in the world you were going to be unbiased. There was no way in the world that was going to be the case. And now he tries to defend himself. Like y'all act like I'm the only judge you had him at 9. Man.
No.
Exactly. Come on, man. I got other issues with D-Wade, which I won't go here, but he was just dead wrong for that. And my brother actually suggested, why not have past slam dunk champions as judges?
Thank you. Remember when they actually took away the slam dunk contest for about 3 or 4 years? But then people started crying and moaning, saying they wanted it back, and then Vince Carter showed up and acted a complete fool and won the thing going away. Where are those slam dunks?
This was no joke. And I talk about it like he's dead. He's still alive, folks. This was the man. He was the man. If you want to go back further than that, Kenny Skywalker was the man.
Skywalker. Michael Jordan. Julius Irving. Spud Webb. Dominique Wilkins. I asked someone at work this morning. I asked somebody at work this question this morning. Who would you put in your ultimate slam dunk contest? And it's so tough for me because I've seen so many great dunkers over the years. But going from the time that I started watching, which would be 1980, I would have Julius Irving, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter as my three-headed monster of attraction. And the young buck I would bring in to challenge those guys would be Jason Richardson.
Ooh, I remember him. He's still playing.
That would be my ultimate slam dunk. Actually, you have 4. You have the first 4. The next 4 would be Dominique Wilkins, Spud Webb, Clyde Drexler, and the young buck I would bring in to challenge them. And here's a name I have yet to mention. How about Cedric Ceballos?
Man, you don't brought somebody who I ain't seen in forever. And you are so right on that comment. You were dead spot on that. Man, I guess the only person who I can probably really sort of kind of add to that, someone I wanted to see, and yeah, he'll probably get tabbed. He's just a power dunker. I love Sean Kemp.
Oh, there you go. We can add Sean Kemp, and have Gary Payton throwing to him.
That would be awesome, man. That would be awesome. He's a power dunker. That's all he is a power man. Man, those dunks he did
were nasty. They were nasty.
Yeah.
Oh dear God, man. They were nasty.
Now he ate himself out the league,
but when he was in the league, he was an all-star. Give Sean Kemp his props. Yep. Now that the All-Star game is finished and we got that farce out of the way, the second half of the season is upon us. And the Lakers did not make a move to make their team better. And they expect to come out of the Western Conference? I think not.
And I think another thing that hurt them too, it came out today that the Pistons thought out Reggie Jackson, and he looks to be reported going to the Clippers.
He's headed to the Clippers.
Why can't you get these guys on your team to be a third scorer? Lakers fans, look, I'm going to tell you something right now. Kyle Kuzma ain't it. He is not it. He never has been it. He never will be it. The man scores. He does nothing else. We're going to lock up on defense. We're going to out-rebound. We're going to pass it. Come on, man. Kuzma's not that guy. He's not. And I think there's two chinks in the Lakers' armor. They don't have that third scorer.
And they don't have a point guard.
And you don't have a true point.
Because Rajon Rondo is not the answer.
Nope.
Because the Lakers had a chance to get two very influential names that could help out their team. Andre Iguodala and Derrick Rose. Yep. And they got neither.
Got Jack.
Which is why the Lakers will be eliminated in the second round when they go up against a team that actually has a point guard, like, I don't know, maybe the Portland Trailblazers.
Don't count out Denver.
Or the Denver Nuggets.
Don't count Denver out.
See,
I like Murray a lot.
I love Jamal Murray. Love Jamal Murray. This is why I said early in the year, and you were one of the few people that didn't think I was nuts when I said this, the Lakers will not reach the World Championship Series, and one of the reasons is because they do not have a point guard.
That's right. That's right. That's right. No point guard and don't have a closer.
Nope.
Like I say, Kyle Kuzma.
Because LeBron ain't a closer. Anthony Davis is trying to be, but he gets hurt most of the time. You're basically, if you're the Lakers, you're basically one significant injury away from being a second-tier team.
Yep.
And I'll tell you this much, and I'm gonna say this out loud: the Lakers are a second-round loss away from firing Frank Vogel, because Vogel's not going to live out the remainder of his contract in Los Angeles.
Oh, heck no. That's Jason Kidd's job all the way through.
Yeah. Jason Kidd has that team competing. Frank Vogel is I hate to say this about Frank Vogel, and he was an outstanding coach with Indiana, but unfortunately in this kind of situation, especially with Rob Pelinka involved, Frank Vogel is a puppet.
Yep.
Frank Vogel
he is
a puppet. living in Jason Kidd's shoes. And as soon as Frank Vogel is out of the way, which will happen after this season, y'all watch. The only way Frank Vogel keeps his job is if the Lakers win the world championship. Yeah. That's the only way that he keeps his job. Anything short of that, it could even be the Western Conference Finals. If they lose in any series, any playoff series, including the World Championship Series, Frank Vogel's a goner.
Oh, yeah. He gone.
Frank Vogel is gone, and Jason Kidd will be installed as their coach. Yep. And he's going to be another puppet for LeBron James anyway. When you have a chance to get two very influential names, and Andre Iguodala and Derrick Rose being playing one of the positions that you need to solve, and Andre Iguodala having 3 championships under his belt, and he can give you a few secrets on how to get there, who do you think put the kibosh on those trades?
Yeah, you know it was Bron. You know it was Bron.
Who do you think? Who do you think put the kibosh on that?
And I think too. I think he didn't. I think because the rumor was it was Kuzma and Danny Green, and I don't think Bron would have minded if Kuzma was gone. But I think they had an issue when Danny Green that name got brought up.
LeBron needs shooters. And quite honestly, the Lakers ain't got any.
They're streaky. Kuzma's streaky. Danny Green himself is streaky. You can't count on Avery Bradley. You can't count on him. He's more known as a defensive player than anything else.
Yep.
So, I don't see how. I just don't. Maybe if they change their style of play during the playoffs and start throwing the ball down low, they are longer than almost any other team in the league. With JaVale, with Dwight, they are longer. So if they maybe use some of that pick and roll style of play,
but that would be too much like. But that would be too much like Wright. That would be too much. It makes too much sense.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. It does.
It's too really logical.
Does. Yeah.
It's absolutely too logical. And we're talking about the Lakers here, a team that in the 80s lived on logic and played it to 5 world titles.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
You would think they would dip back into the old school and take a look and see the personnel that they have and realize we don't have a point guard. We're in trouble.
And then when Darren Collison decided to buy out and said, I'm just going to stay retired, that told me right there, they're done.
They're finished.
Right there.
They're finished. They're finished. Darren Collison took a look at the Lakers camp and like, nah, I'm good. And stayed retired. Oh, yeah. And I can't say that I blame him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's look at a team in the West. Let's look at a team in the East that everybody's hyping up, and I don't know why. And that team is the Philadelphia 76ers.
I don't get that either. One of those guys need to be traded. I don't know if it's going to be Ben. I don't know if it's going to be Embiid. Embiid actually came on Instagram and said that he'll be amenable to it, I guess. But one of those guys got to go because one of them get in each other's way.
Mm-hmm. And Ben can't hit a jump shot to save his life.
I don't understand that. He didn't even try.
Cannot hit a jump shot to save his life.
Even before the season started, when he was doing those Rico Hine runs, he wasn't shooting jump shots.
Nope. He's too chicken.
I don't get it. He's what, a legit 6'9"?
6'10".
I don't understand.
6'10".
6'10". Okay. I don't get it.
He's too chicken. I'll answer that question right now. He's too chicken to take a jump shot, let alone hit him.
All you got to do is get you a mid-range game. That's all you need.
And he doesn't even have that.
They didn't even got that.
What have I said? You and I have talked often about Ben Simmons over the last couple of years, even when I was in transit from Ohio back to Indiana. What have I said often about Ben Simmons? There are two major problems with Ben Simmons. His footwork is awful, and so is his jump shot. He hasn't fixed neither one of those things.
Nope. And I blame partially him, but I also blame a lot on Brett Brown because you're the coach of that team, and you have to get your players prepared and ready to go. And
he hasn't.
He hasn't done that.
Nope.
If you look at the games, he doesn't adjust very well at the second half of these games. If they're not out running or out gunning you, they're gonna X, Y, and O you out of there, so to speak.
Yep.
And I just think he needs to go. I don't think he's the right coach for that team.
He's not. There isn't a right coach for that team. Unless Billy Cunningham comes back to life, and that ain't happening anytime soon. Unless Andrew Toney reappears in Philadelphia, and I don't think he wants to take the reins of that ball club. Unless Maurice Cheeks wants to take the reins of that ball club, and he already had one run at it and got booted out after he couldn't do anything because he had the wrong players.
Oh, yeah.
So, folks, for those of you that think Philadelphia is going to make some noise come playoff time, don't. I'll just say it right now. Don't.
I think a team that needs to be looked at a little bit more than Philadelphia would be the Miami Heat. I think you need to look at those guys take those in a different light, because you could argue they could be maybe the second, third best team in the East between them and Toronto. I really like what Miami's done. Pat Riley looks like he's going for it with Jimmy Butler, Andre Iguodala. It looked like he sees the light that they could actually compete, and he's going for it. And if you would have told me Miami would have been the second best team in the East at the start of the season, I would have said you were crazy.
But see, the team that I think is going to represent the East would be the defending champion Toronto Raptors.
I saw that Facebook post, and I started thinking to myself, now, I don't wish ill will on anybody. I hope no one gets hurt. But if Giannis, think about it now, if Giannis goes down, the only person in Milwaukee really has that you could say is a star
is Chris Middleton.
It's Chris Middleton. Yeah. So if he goes down, that does open it up. Now, I don't wish ill will on anyone. I don't want anyone to get hurt. But if you look at it, that could happen.
See, here's why I say Toronto's the team to beat in the East. And for a while, I thought the team to beat in the East would be the Boston Celtics, because Boston tuned up Toronto at home on Christmas Day. But Toronto has found their stride. Toronto's won 15 out of 16. And I know people would come to me and say, oh, they played, teams that are sub 500. But 15 out of 16 is 15 out of 16.
It is what it is.
Yeah. All you can do is play the teams that are on your schedule. And I know some Laker fans will give me the same argument of why they're first in the Western Conference. The difference I have between the Lakers and Toronto, with the Lakers, when they play good teams, they get the blues from them.
Yeah.
They barely beat Denver before the All-Star break, and it took them overtime to do it. When Toronto plays good teams, Toronto gives them the blues.
Yeah. Siakam is no joke, too. Siakam's very good.
Love Siakam. Absolutely love Siakam.
And he's young.
Yes.
Young.
And Nick, look, can we please give Nick Nurse the credit that he deserves now?
Yeah.
Can we please give Nick Nurse the credit that he deserves? I think it's going. My good friend Chris Purtle, who I'll have on later this week, thinks it'll be Celtics and Clippers for the World Championship. I'm inclined to think it'll either be Celtics and Clippers, or Kawhi Leonard just might see his old team in the Toronto Raptors. and the Raptors may have a message for Kawhi Leonard. Can you imagine?
A lot of things have to go right.
Right.
But that could happen. But it could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it really can. It really can. William Morgan joining me to talk all things NBA. I'll have him on later in the week to talk all things XFL and get you ready for the XFL weekend. Thanks for joining me, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on, man. See you later this week.
We got more coming up for you after the break.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what? I did not need to be told that.
All right, folks, we continue on with the program, and let's talk a little baseball, shall we? Been meaning to do this for a while, and I welcome the man in charge of Kicking It with Keeler. You can hear that on full press coverage as well as this show. This is Ricky Keeler, and he joins me right now. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm a little mad at the Houston Astros. Did you see that?
Can't say I blame them.
Did you see that so-called apology that they put out there? They called a press conference for it, and
I hope you're using apology in air quotes, but yes, it's an apology. It was awful. It was so predictable.
Yeah, it was.
They go the night before, and they're like, close off the facility. We got to have this big meeting. Like, we're gonna have to plan what we got to say. And it's one thing to have Dusty Baker up there with Jim Crane, but who are the two players that happen to be on the podium with the owner and the manager? The two players, Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman, who had 6 days after the report to apologize, and they didn't do it.
They did.
So now they're going to apologize again? Like, you don't get a second chance to apologize again. Then they got a third chance in the clubhouse right afterwards.
And
it was such a joke.
And
the closest thing was maybe Correa. Like, I thought, but even Correa's words were like,
scripted.
I get it. He at least mentioned the buzzer, which none of them were even mentioned.
Nope.
It's crazy. Look, baseball didn't, under their rulings, like, they could only fine Jim Crane so much. They couldn't do anything with the union. I get that. But they showed their warts. They can't compete with the union. The players can do whatever they want. It's going to be, sadly, up to the players to figure out what they want to do. And there's going to be a lot of brawls. There's going to be a lot of contention when Houston comes on the road this summer. And we'll just have to find out then. I mean, I'm not in favor of those stripping the title just because I can't take back something that exists. You just have to keep it in the forefront. Like, you know what? That title has a little bit to it. It's like a mental asterisk, if you will. But I don't think you can go down that rabbit hole.
No, you can. A lot of fans want to, especially the fan base of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I went in on them earlier in the week. Look, if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, you got your own issues. You can't complain about a title that you lost on your home field in 2017 and 2018, for that matter, against teams who cheated. And I have to use air quotes for that, even though everything's been proven. But if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we'll start here looking forward to 2020, you got your own issues, especially a failed trade with Jock Peterson, and there's a fella named Clayton Kershaw that's still walking around.
To your point, especially on 17, the Dodgers lost 2 games at home that year. So it's really tough to give them benefit of the doubt. Now, I do feel bad. If there's a team I feel bad for, it's the Red Sox. And the reason I say that is whatever comes out of this investigation with them, and was supposed to be out this week, and it doesn't look like it is, nobody's going to believe the Red Sox. If they get off something light, people are going to say, no, you didn't look at it hard enough. And then people will find out more about the code break with the Astros. That's besides the point. Looking at the Dodgers this year, I mean, they're going to find some way what to do with Peterson. I mean, he's not a bad player to have still on your roster. If they can get value for him, that's great. The one thing I think I question with the Dodgers, Brian, is their rotation. And it's not really Kershaw exactly. It's after Buehler. Okay, Kershaw has his good moments, has his bad moments. He's getting older. Yep. What is David Price going to do in the National League? That remains to be seen. They traded away Kenta Maeda, who was a valuable swingman for them. And their bullpen, Kenley Jansen's getting older, and he's not that reliable. We'll see what Blake Trinan does. We'll see what Gratterall does. Their lineup is great. To me, Yankees-Dodgers is the prohibitive World Series favorite matchup. But when that ever happens in baseball, there's always something that prevents that from happening. I feel like the Dodgers, I just don't know who's going to beat them in the National League, but the Dodgers, I think, are the more vulnerable team than the Yankees.
But the problem I have with the Dodgers and the Yankees, the Cubs, and a couple of others that fall into this line, and I said it earlier this week, the problem is not going to be the lineup. The problem is going to be the pitching.
Mm-hmm. I think for the Yankees, Garrett Cole answers a lot of those questions. When you give him 9 years, $324 million, he's going to take the ball every fifth day. He's going to go 7 innings. It's almost not a guarantee. It's pretty much a guarantee to go 6. So it's going to save the bullpen in a given day, and you trust the Yankee bullpen more than you trust the Dodger bullpen.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with James Paxton's injury. It sounds like he might be back in June. The Yankees don't really need him now. They need him down the line. But having Garrett Cole at least pushes Luis Severino back, and now he's healthy for a full year. Masahiro Tanaka is still, while he's not dominant, he's at least consistent. So you have 4 guys at least that you can depend upon, because Paxton showed a lot in the playoffs, especially in Game 5 last year. I think the Yankees have more depth in their rotation than the Dodgers do, because outside of Walker Buehler, they have question marks. I think Price will be better in the National League, but he still is a guy that he's coming off an injury too. So I think there's more starting pitching questions and bullpen questions on the West Coast than the East Coast with the Yankees.
Very, very true with that. And speaking of the East Coast, let's go to the Beltway and look at the world champion Washington Nationals. Only person they lost was Anthony Rendon. And if you look at this Washington lineup, they got stronger as the season got longer. And their pitching rotation, A, is pretty much set, and B, so is their bullpen. And it was the bullpen that rode to the rescue, especially starting with the division series.
Yeah, absolutely. Their bullpen, I think, actually, when you look at it, Brian, they got better. They still have Sean Doolittle. They kept Daniel Hudson. They added Will Harris into the mix, who outside of Game 7 was arguably the Astros' best reliever last year in the postseason. So their bullpen is strong. Their starting rotation is still pretty good with Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin. So and Anibal Sanchez is still there. So you know what you're going to get out of him. The offense, yes, you missed Anthony Rendon. We'll have to see what Carter Kieboom does. He's likely going to be the third baseman, you would think, coming out of camp, but you never know. Then after they have his dribble Cabrera, maybe they can split time. They still have Juan Soto a year older, Victor Robles a year older. The guy I'm interested to seeing what the coaching staff does with is Starlin Castro. Because remember, the Nats a couple of years ago brought in Daniel Murphy to swing a little bit from the time at the Mets and had a breakout year. I don't know if Starlin Castro had a breakout year, but he can kind of blend in with this lineup. You got Trey Turner. Eric Thames is a good platoon option with Ryan Zimmerman. So their lineup is pretty deep, even though I think they're going to miss Rendon in spots, but they're still right up there in with the favorites in the National League.
Yeah, they have to be the favorites now. No one expected them to win the World Championship. Talking with Ricky Keeler of Kicking It with Keeler on, you can hear that on fullpresscoverage.com. And I'll tell you what, man, the Nationals, you just said it a moment ago, the Nationals look like the team to beat in the National League. Is there a team or teams outside of the Dodgers that can challenge them? And remember, the Nationals re-signed Howie Kendrick, who was the division series hero, and in essence the World Series hero after we broke the tie in Game 7.
Well, I'll give you 2 teams, and I think they're both in the same division as Washington. Because I think the NL East is going to be pretty good. I mean, I like the Reds in the Central. I don't know to win the Central, but I can't really pick them to contend for a title just yet. The Braves would be one. I like the Braves. We'll see what Cole Hamels' injury is. Hopefully he's not out too long with the shoulder. But they added Will Smith to help their bullpen. They still have a really good young rotation. Another year for Soroka, another year for Fried. They have Fulton Newich. They added Felix Hernandez. We'll see what he gives them now going to the National League, kind of a new uniform. We'll see what that does for him. That lineup is still deep. They added Marcelo Ozuna. So when you go 1 through 5 in that lineup, it's still very good. And really, they're trying to come off that Game 5 first inning, which I think is still going. But we'll see what happens if the Braves if the Braves can turn that around. The other team kind of
It just seemed, folks, people know I love Bugs Bunny and I love Looney Tunes. There's a cartoon called Baseball Bugs that before Bugs Bunny rode to the rescue, it was just a conga line around the bases. That's what it felt like in Game 5 in Atlanta, didn't it?
It did. I think I was out for a part of that game. I look at my scoreboard on my phone. I'm like, wait, it's 10-0. I said, is that a glitch or something? I'm like, is it really 10-0?
I was out also, and I looked at my phone, and I said, "What the hell?" And my wife says, "What?" I said, "It's 10-0 in the first inning." And my wife tells me she's not a big baseball fan. She's not. Okay, she's not a fan of baseball at all. But when I said 10-0 in the first inning, she grabbed my phone, took a look at it, and went, "Wow, somebody's a little pissed off." I'm like, yeah, you think 10 runs in the first inning?
I still say the Braves should have gave them their parking money back, but that's besides the point.
They should have gave them their money for admission back. That was a game that was played. Wait a minute. That was a game that was played in the afternoon.
The parking back.
Right. I'll give you that. That was a game that if you go back to the 80s, that's one of those that you play in the afternoons. Everybody is still at work, and then everybody comes home and goes, what the hell happened? That's one of those kind of games.
If you're in your car going to work then and it's 5-0, do you just turn around and go home? Like, do you even go back?
Yes. 5-0 without an out. Without an out.
Sure.
That's one of those, you're on the way to the ballpark. Hey, we can catch it while it's in motion. And then you hear a run-scoring single, another run-scoring single, a run-scoring double, 5-0 before they get an out. The hell with that. I'm turning around and I'm going home.
That was the debate, if you remember. Should Jack Flaherty have even pitched that game? Once you get a 10-0, do you rest Jack Flaherty for game one of the TS? Which you can argue the Cardinals got all their runs out of the way because they got swept the next series, so they ran out of offense.
They did. They ran all their offense against Atlanta, and then they run into the Nationals, who threw 4 aces at them, and the Cardinals like, okay, our season's over. I think they pretty much knew that coming out of St. Louis and going to Washington. Like, we're going to go home empty-handed, but we got a lot farther than a lot of teams expected us to. Here's a question. And I got to go to the National League Central. I'm from Chicago. I'm from Chicago, but I can't stand the Cubs. For some reason, I cannot stand. I'm a Southsider by heart, by nature, and to my heart. You can answer this question for me now, so I can get a summer's worth of fatigue out of the way. Are they going to have a chance to compete this year?
Mainly because that division's so wide open. I don't really know who to pick in that division, to be honest, because St. Louis really didn't make any huge moves this winter to go. They're the prohibitive favorite. Milwaukee's lost players more than gained players. Yeah. And the question is, do you buy into the Reds? The Reds were the more active team this winter. They got Castellanos. They got Moustakas. They're going to get Suarez back at some point from injury. They have a good rotation. Their bullpen is up in the air, but they have some intriguing arms there. So despite the Cubs not doing anything except adding Jason Kipnis this week, which isn't bad for their bench, we'll see what happens there. They're
bench.
Still right in the mix.
You said the key word, bench. Okay,
but you gotta have depth. You gotta have depth. I
know that.
In terms of their infield, you gotta have depth there. The key is, can David Ross be their manager and not their best friend? If David Ross actually does a great job as first year's manager, the Cubs will be right there.
True.
If he does, then maybe it'll be. Was it a Joe Madden problem? I don't know. His voice maybe got a little tired in that clubhouse. There's still a lot of talent there.
Did you hear some of his press conferences at the tail end of his run? A little tired?
He repeats the same stuff. We know that. But if the Cubs go in there, if they win 84, 85 games, they're right there. That's the nature of the Central. So they could do nothing. And
so it'll take 85 to win the Central? You think it'll take 85 to win the Central?
It might take, honestly, Brian, I think high 80s, maybe 90, 91 wins the Central, because I don't really know who's breaking out of the pack out of those 4 teams.
I'm picking St. Louis.
They would be right there, but I don't trust that's the thing. The Cardinals, they do enough, but I think losing Ozuna is going to hurt a little more than they think.
True.
Like, I was surprised they didn't make more of an effort to bring him back.
Right.
What is Matt Carpenter going to be? He struggled a lot last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where the Cardinals are. Does Dakota Hudson take the next step forward? Does Miles Michaelis stay a good number 2? What's left of Wainwright? Can Carlos Martinez close consistently? Because we know he's up and down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions on that Cardinals team.
True. And I say this playfully, I just don't want the Cubs to win. Because there are some Cub fans that I know in my hometown that are insufferable. I'm being playful, but I shared this story during the summer, and I'm going to share it now. The year that they won, 2016, that night, November 2nd, I didn't come out the house. I was afraid to come out of the house because it was Game 7. I knew what was going on. I'm the only White Sox fan on my block. Everybody else were Cub fans. And I didn't go to sleep. I didn't get to sleep because they were up celebrating until 2 o'clock in the morning, and here I am in a fetal position in my bed.
Nice. But I mean, you gotta like the moves your White Sox made. I mean, at least they're going to be competitive.
I love what they did, and I'm going to make a call and say wild card. I'm going to say
not out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
I could see it. I mean, I like Lucas Giolito a lot.
Yes.
I wrote about him when I was writing at District on Deck, the national side on fan side. So I followed a lot of his career. So I like the steps he made. At least maybe a change of scenery helped him. They add Keuchel. Yep. They add Gio Gonzalez, who I think is a good back-end guy. And that lineup is really, really good.
Yeah,
they add Mazar.
solid.
We'll see what Luis Robert does. Grandal's there now. Encarnacion. So a lot of parrots on the south side, which is going to be pretty cool. I think we're going to see a lot of flying parrots.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot of walking parrots, and I love it. We're going to see a lot of walking parrots.
Hey, I love the parrot. That's my guy right there. But you got Moncada looking like he's breaking out. I mean, what's Cleveland? I think that's the question. Minnesota right now looks like they're the favorite in the Central.
Yes.
But you have to figure out the Indians just find pitchers out of nowhere, and they can get rid of Kluber and probably still have a good starting rotation.
Yeah.
So it's really between the White Sox and Indians for second.
Yeah, I see that too. How about the American League West? How does that go?
I got to think it's the Astros right now. Even though they made no moves this winter, they still have Verlander. Their lineup is still really good. If they can get over that initial hump early on, if they get off to a hot start,
it's
the
over.
thing is, and now you add it's over. You add Urquidy, you have for a full year now, so that helps their rotation a little bit. And I think the second place team, I want to say the Angels, Brian, but they have no pitching. They really have no. Could they have taken some of Mike Trout's money and given it to like a pitcher or something?
Yes,
like
that's
I
what
feel
they should
bad
have
for
done.
Mike Trout. They got Rendon. What's Shohei Ohtani? Is he a pitcher? He's a hitter? I don't know. One week he's going to be a pitcher in May, but a hitter in April. They really don't have a solution with the Angels right now.
No.
So I don't know how much Madden's going to help. Oakland's still pretty good, but there's always a ceiling with the A's, and they got to rely a lot on young guys like AJ Puck and Jesus Luzardo, who are very talented.
Yeah.
But when you're top of the guys, Manaea, who had a shortened year last year because of injury, your rotation's a little in doubt, and then Melvin's going to use a lot of the bullpen. But the A's always seem to hang around sometimes.
Yeah. And can Seattle be competitive, at least for a little while? Can the Mariners actually be competitive?
Do you mean competitive in the regular season or competitive at the trade deadline, since Dakota loves to trade everybody?
All right. Let me flip a coin. Both.
Competitive at the trade deadline. Honestly, Brian, I think Texas is better. If you're going to go for a surprise in the West, I go the Rangers. Their rotation actually wasn't that bad last year.
Right.
With Lance Lynn and a couple of guys there. Their lineup is still pretty good. They lost Nazar in that trade, but the Rangers still have Joey Gallo healthy. They're going to a new ballpark. It's not going to be as hot all the time, so maybe they'll pitch a little bit better. You look at that team, Todd Frazier's in there as a veteran. They have Kluber now in the mix there. If he's healthy, maybe he gets a boost. So honestly, I would take the Rangers before I'd take Seattle.
Yeah. I got a lot of thoughts in my head about
Seattle's
baseball.
young, though. I'm interested. The Mariners have a lot of young pieces. I just don't know
if
how
they
far they like.
Yeah, I don't know how far. I don't know how fast they can put them together. That's one of my questions.
They're still like 2-3. They're 3 years away in the West, especially with Houston going to going.
Yeah, it's Houston's division to lose. That's how I look at it. Ricky Keeler, Kicking It with Keeler, joining the Snowman here, and I want to thank you for coming on, and I'd love to have you on to help do some baseball previews.
I'm happy to be on, Snowman. Thanks for having me.
We got more for you after this.
This is Snowman in the Morning,
Holy on smoke!
where true sports talk lives.
I like him. He's silly.
Time for Transition Tuesday here on the program, and you know I can't do this by myself, so I got Russ Williams with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to talk to you again, Snowman. There's another Tuesday, and that makes time for our Transition Tuesday segment. Love it.
Yes, indeed it is. You can catch him every Tuesday night for a full show of Transition Tuesday. I had the chance to be on it, and for the better part, bragged about my beautiful wife, who's also one of my executive producers of the program. So your subject this week had me salivating, because there's a phrase that says you can go from being the hunter to being the hunted. And when you threw this at me, I was licking my chops for this. Let's go. What you got for me?
Absolutely, Snowman. Well, there's some game plan steps, or as I like to coin the phrase, GPSs, that you have to take when you're transitioning to being the hunted. The first GPS is, and I'll start by this, Snowman. Snowman, are you a hip-hop fan at all?
I am.
All right. Now, I don't know if you remember, this group came out 25 years ago called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, I remember them quite
and
well.
They had a pop. You remember them quite well? Well, they had a great song that gives us our first GPS. And that first GPS that they had, the song that they had was called Protect Your Neck.
Yes.
So you have to protect your neck. That's right. You got to protect your neck when you're transitioning to being the hunted.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is you have to protect your neck at all times. You have to protect your neck at all times, because when you're the hunted, people are coming for your neck. They're coming for you. And the great thing about that title, Protect Your Neck, there was a hip hop scholar who was part of the group, Raekwon the Chef.
Yes.
He had a great phrase, and he said, half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it.
Yes.
So just like I'm saying here with the Protect Your Neck, it's very important, because you earn the right to be hunted. People earn the right to be hunted through their hard work and dedication at their craft. So you have to protect your neck at all costs. So that is the first GPS when transitioning to be the hunted. Second GPS is you have to stay humble when you're being the hunted. What I mean by that is, Snowman, is you're going to wear a bullseye on your back. So you have to wear that bullseye on your back with humility and grace. But also, on the other hand, you have to really show people why you're the hunted now. And that's because due to your talent. So you really have to really stay humble. And, when you're going from being the hunter to the hunted.
What's so huge, and, you bring up two very good steps: protect your neck and use the humility. You would think and stay humble. I beg your pardon. You would think they would be on opposite sides of the spectrum, and to the naked eye, they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, they are very much one and the same. And being the hunted, if I'm reading you as correctly as I think I am, transitioning from being the hunter to being the hunted, that involves a lot of confidence too.
It does. It definitely does. Take, for example, the Chiefs. The Chiefs they won the Super Bowl, so they are now going to be the hunted team. So every opponent that they play next year, they're gonna treat that game as like their Super Bowl. You know, they're the hunted. Also, the 49ers, even though they lost the game, they too are going to be the hunted team.
They're the NFC champions. They're the NFC champions.
Absolutely,
they're the NFC West champions.
Yes,
and this is a team that came out of nowhere. And sometime back during the season, I'd liken the 49ers to the Golden State Warriors, coming out of nowhere, snatching a conference title, which no one expected them to get. So the Chiefs and the 49ers are the hunted. They are indeed the hunted.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the hunted. You know, those teams, they're the hunted. They're really going to, you know, people are going to be going for that neck. You got to protect your neck.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs and the 49ers, you have to protect your neck. You know, I'm looking at the Iowa caucuses that just went down, you know, recently. You know, the Democratic nominees, the person there, whoever comes out of that caucus is now going to be the front runner. So they are going to be the hunted as well. So they too have to protect their necks as well.
Well, but whoever comes out of the Iowa caucuses, not only are they the hunted, they're also the hunter trying to succeed the incumbent that's in office right now.
Absolutely, yes. You make a great point there, Snowman. Absolutely. So you always got to protect your neck. And, we apply this sometimes to sports as we're doing now, politics or what have you, but this could be everyday use for people, people who are just, starting out in jobs, getting that job that they crave. Now they become the hunted. But everybody else trying to get their position in their spot. So I always recommend those two spots, those two GPSs. You got to protect your neck from the jump, and also you got to stay humble in your process too as well.
Which one of these two steps do you think is the toughest to maintain?
Well, in my case, I live life with humility. So, for me, in my case, probably protect your neck would be the toughest one for me. Because again, it's all about, that's just a mentality that you have to really absorb. Like really you have to be confident. When you're protecting your neck, when you're protecting your self-worth at all costs, you got to be really confident in doing that, So so in my case, I think protect your neck will be the toughest for me because I always try to live with humility all through my life. So, but protecting your neck will probably be the toughest one.
Well, for me, it's a combination of both because, and I go back, I mention my wife all the time on this program. Until I met her, I never knew how to put the entire picture together. And there are some days and there are some stretches of time where I still have difficulty putting the entire picture together. But learning about her and what she's gone through, it's becoming easier each day. It's a combination of both for me. Being the hunted, having the confidence in doing what I do in this program and the other programs that I put together, and also launching Snowman Digital Media, her having her confidence in what she's doing, the confidence is there. Being the hunted is starting to become a reality, and in a good way, and I think I know you as well as I do to say this, in a good way, it also becomes a habit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like take you, for example, Snowman, because you're climbing up the food chain in the podcast realm, right? So you're really doing that. So now you're going to you are becoming the hunted. People are hearing more about the podcast, everything you do with the podcast. People are coming for that. So you too, Snowman, my man, have to protect your neck.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, I do. And not just for me and not just for the fans that listen to the show, also for my family. It's so big. It's so big. You know this very well. It's so big, and I'm glad you referenced that song and referenced that particular song, Protect Your Neck. Let me speak to the men about this, and we talk to the men all the time. You got to protect your neck, especially when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your home, and when it comes to your family.
Absolutely. Just like Raekwon the Chef said, half of us will try to make it.
The other half will try to take it.
Absolutely. Hey, Snowman, speaking of that Super Bowl and everything, what do you think about like the commercials of the Super Bowl? And more in particular, that Brady, the Tom Brady commercial, which I thought he was trolling people. in the case of, what's he going to do? And, like for me, I'm just looking at that commercial, looking at Tom Brady. He is a guy who is going to be hunted as well because he's going to be coveted. He's going to be romanced by other teams if he decides to leave the Patriots. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on that Tom Brady commercial, him trolling the world? That's what I thought he was doing.
You know what? He trolled the world, but he also, for me, answered a question. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. That's how I think of it. He's been coming out of that tunnel for 20 years. And he's at the end of his contract right now, and the whole social media universe has gone upside down, wondering where he's going to land next. And I've read some articles of where he could land. I mean, he's from California. He idolized Joe Montana for years. He's not going anywhere. He's staying right there in New England. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. Has he lost a step? Certainly. Has he lost a little zip on his arm? Certainly. But you really think he wants to move away from Bill Belichick and start a learning process all over again after what he's had for 20 seasons? I think not.
Well, I look at it kind of a little differently there, Snowman, because I'm looking at it almost like a Kobe Bryant with Shaq sense.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, he strived to, get away from out of Shaq's shadow and prove to the world that he can win without Shaq. So I'm thinking these guys are two competitors, Belichick and Brady. And I can see Brady as a competitor, seeing if he can do it on his own, so that way he won't be, left with the stigma of those two winning championships. I think he might be up to the challenge to do that. But again, it's all speculative. We don't really know. But I can see him. I can see him trying to do it, though. I can definitely see him trying to do it and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to see what happens. We will just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see how that process plays out. Speaking of process, that's the end of this one. This is Transition Tuesday with Russ Williams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Absolutely. On Twitter, you can find me at allwilltransition. On Instagram, you can find me at allwilltransitions with an S. And please, your audience out there, please email me at allwilltransitions@gmail.com. Again, I'm available for transitional services in terms of individual instructions and sessions that I provide, and also I'm also for speaking engagements as well. So just hit me there at allworldtransitions@gmail.com. Would love to talk to you guys and make sure everybody protects your neck out there.
That's our Transition Tuesday, going from being the hunter to being the hunted. And you'd like to be the hunted because it lets you know you're one of the best at your craft. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Speaking of Tom Brady, speaking of him, there are a few other quarterbacks that have come to the end of their contract. Is it the end of their rope? I'll explain when y'all get back.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what? I did not need to be told that.
Welcome back, folks. I appreciate you joining me here on the program. And don't forget, if you want to follow all the programs produced by Snowman Digital Media, just go to SNW Digital Media. That's snwdigitalmedia.com and look up the ID SNW Digital Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and Snapchat. William Morgan now joins me via the hotline. How are you, my friend?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me back on.
Hey, thanks for coming back. Normally I have him for 2 segments, but we're going to break those up later in the week. We'll get his take on the XFL and preview Week 3, and the XFL has really gotten my attention. But my focus on this one is for the NBA All-Star Game, and I got quite the pushback when I did my Snowman's take, talking about how much of a farce it has become. So to you, my good man, I open with the following question. What the hell was that this weekend?
I have no idea. But Man,
what the hell was that?
Corporate at its finest. This changing stuff. I just think it's ridiculous. Can we get back to what it used to be? Can we get back to where it used to be
East
the
versus
true
West?
East versus West? Yes.
Can we get back to East?
Yes.
Can we get back to East versus West? Okay.
First of all, just for the fact that Giannis can't pick nothing.
Nope.
Giannis he sucks at picking these players. He needs like a consulting firm when it comes to picking these players, man. I mean, good grief! Look at Team LeBron. Look at Team LeBron. What team is going to beat Team LeBron? I mean, now granted, LeBron is on there, but even if you take him off, who's beating that team? You
know me entirely too well for you to take every question out of my head so far in this conversation that you have. Who's gonna beat that team? Really?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
And see, Guinness the Greek Freak had a chance to get some of these players, and for some reason, for the most part, he stayed with the East.
So it should have been East versus West in the first place.
Yep, it should have been East versus West. I mean, he didn't grab anybody from the West until he picked later on. I mean, dude, what are you doing?
And all the best players in the West at that time are long gone. You know LeBron snatched them. You know,
long gone.
You know LeBron snatching them. Come on, you know it. I know it. What the hell? What the?
I guess he felt that if he picked that particular team, if anything went wrong, he would be the one that could save them. But, bruh.
You know what? He could be the one that could save them as if the Toronto Raptors didn't teach him a lesson in the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Yep.
I mean, come on. Come on. You send a posse after Giannis and you force him to be a jump shooter. Now, he's added a jump shot to his game, but I just have to wonder if it's too little, too late with Giannis. And I love what he's doing. Okay, let's not get it twisted. I love what Giannis is doing with this game. I do, but still, he needs two consulting firms to pick an all-star team. At least for the most part, Stephen Curry got it right when LeBron was in the East and Steph Curry was in the West. And I'll guarantee you next year, Stephen Curry will be a captain again because we didn't see him this year because he's out injured. Klay Thompson, of course, lost for the year. But I'll guarantee you, Steph will be the West captain next, and it should just go back to East versus West, will you please? Can we just go back to?
What I'm saying.
And here's another thing. Next year, the game will be in Indianapolis. Here's an indictment against the NBA. It's my friend Cole Johnson. You know Cole Johnson very well from On the Daily, and I've had him on this program a lot. Here's an indictment that Cole Johnson has pointed out to me, and it's so true. You mean to tell me that the NCAA can fit not one but two Final Fours in Lucas Oil Stadium and sell out every seat, and the NBA is relegated to hosting their game at Bankers Life Fieldhouse? Now,
good point.
Now, it could be due to a scheduling conflict. I don't know. But at the same time, you would think the NBA All-Star Game, which has hosted in Indianapolis once before, 1985, and they played it at the Hoosier Dome, and they sold 40,000 tickets. You would think you could put about 68,000 people inside Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yep. I agree.
But that's a big indictment I think, against the NBA. And people, you want some corporate de-espionage? Put it in Lucas Oil Stadium. Give the fans of Indianapolis a chance to come out and see the game.
Right.
There's not a horrible seat in the house. They will pay. They'll pay big time. Yeah. There's not a horrible seat in the house. I've been in Lucas.
They'll come out.
I've been in Lucas Oil Stadium. I've covered a game there 3 times. There's not a horrible seat in the house.
Wow. I've never been, but I know the fans will go out and support.
Easy. I mean, it's Indiana. Okay?
Yeah.
It's Indiana. I've lived in Indiana. My wife's from Indiana. I mean, it's basketball heaven. Why would you not come out?
If they'll come out and support the Pacers, and we're talking about today's Pacers,
yes,
not yesterday's Pacers,
with Reggie Miller and Vern Fleming, with Reggie Miller, Chuck Person, Vern Fleming, Rick Smits, and those guys. We're talking about today's Pacers.
Yeah. Victor Oladipo not quite where he needs to be as of yet, but they're still going out and supporting that team.
So why won't Adam Silver, and it may come down to something being done at the last minute to put it in Lucas Oil Stadium. And I understand that because that's what happened in Dallas, because it was originally scheduled to be at American Airlines Arena, but then the schedule opened up and they put it in Cowboy Stadium and attracted 100,000 people. That being said, and I know that could happen at the last minute, it still, to me, is an indictment until they move it, and there's a strong possibility it's still an indictment against the NBA that they're not having it at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Let me ask you this. I was talking to a buddy of mine at work, and this whole thing with the Houston GM and the whole China issue, do you think that the NBA has gotten too political, so to speak?
Now, I am assuming, with you being a good friend of mine on this program, you want my dead honest truth about it.
Yes. What's that?
Too political would be an understatement. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Daryl Morey opened his mouth.
Because he said the reason why he didn't watch All-Star Weekend was because of that. I said, first of all, brother, you taking it a step too far. But I do see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
From the fact that happened. So I sort of kind of get it. It didn't stop me from partaking, but I could understand if you didn't based on that ground.
You know why I didn't partake in All-Star Weekend? I have a few reasons. I listed most of them on Monday, but I'll list a few of them now in case y'all missed it. And please subscribe to the Snowman in the Morning podcast and Snowman Digital Media so you can hear the replay of not only this conversation but my Snowman's take. Here are a few reasons. It ain't East versus West anymore. It's too corporate for me. The slam dunk contest is a joke.
Somebody got robbed.
Again, we'll get to that in a second. And then the All-Star game itself. The All-Star game itself. Now, I at this sidebar, I love Common. I love what he does. I absolutely adore Common and what he does. I met him at Chicago State University while he was getting started in the industry. And I love the fact that he did the introductions. But, and there is a but in this sentence. If you're going to do those kind of introductions, can we wipe out the stage and the staging lights and just have the teams be on the bench and have it be introduced that way, like they did in the old school?
I'll tell you.
Can we? Can we wipe out? Can we wipe out the stage and the dancers and that kind of stuff? It's gotten to be too much.
I think so too. I think so
it's
too.
Too much. It's too much sizzle and not enough steak, as far as I'm concerned. And it's gotten that way with the Pro Bowl, but that's a conversation for another day.
I I don't understand, and I guess it happened at the beginning of the 2000s, the beginning of the era, where you sort of kind of see things switch from a pure basketball standpoint to more commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say around the 2000s, maybe the 2005, 2010, something like that?
2005.
Yeah.
2005 in Denver. 2005, we saw that switch happening, and it pissed me off. It upset me that they're taking basketball out of the equation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're taking basketball out of the equation, and it's nerve-wracking to me. It's nerve-wracking to me. It's like some of my friends that get it, and I know some of your friends that get it, it ain't basketball anymore. The All-Star Game's not about basketball anymore. And I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. I really don't. Everything boils down to corporate sponsorships and that almighty dollar. Now, I will give them props in terms of renaming an MVP in the name of Kobe Bryant.
I'll give them that. I'll give them that.
But
everything else after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we're just talking about the game, folks. Don't let me get to All-Star Saturday night, which we'll get to in just a few moments.
Talk about a joke. Somebody got robbed.
I had Cole Johnson. I had Cole Johnson on this program yesterday, and I mentioned All-Star Saturday night, and he laughed just about as hard as you did. Because the last time anyone who pays attention to history, and I know there's a lot of basketball buffs who do, the last time my hometown, Chicago, Illinois, hosted the NBA All-Star Weekend, which was, of course, 1988. And there was a fellow at the time by the name of Michael Jordan who was in the league in 1988. And Michael Jordan ruled 1988, except, of course, until June when the Lakers ran the table and repeated as champions. That being said, they did it much better in the old Chicago Stadium in 1988 than they did in the United Center in 2020.
Agreed.
Agreed. It's like there's no homage. Let me say this. The tributes to Kobe, they got right. The tributes to Kobe before the game, they got right. Everything else, they got wrong. And tell me, while we're talking about games, tell me what the hell was that celebrity all-star game they had?
I don't even know why they still do that, man.
It was over at Wintrust Arena. What? You have Stephen A. and Mike and Wilbon coaching. There's your first problem.
Yep.
You had ESPN broadcasting it. There's your second problem. And yes, I'm going all the way there. And the biggest problem I have with the All-Star game is when it went from national television to cable in 2003.
I feel you, man. And another thing too, I don't even understand why you even have a celebrity game. Most of these celebrities don't even have a game.
That's one of my gripes. My other gripe is this. Who the hell are half of these people?
I haven't heard of. I'm there with you. I haven't heard of half of them.
No, Asia Wilson, female basketball star, heard of her. Horace Grant, four-time champion, heard of him. Nate Robinson, heard of him. Darius Miles, heard of him. Who the hell are the rest of these people? Now, save Kevin Hart. Save Kevin Hart. Know who he is. Love Kevin Hart. Okay. But aside of the names I mentioned and a few others who participated, who the hell are the rest of these people?
Right. Exactly.
Because if it's not familiar to me, I only watched the highlights of the celebrity game, and it didn't get my attention until a rule was enacted to start the third quarter where you can add a player. And the first name I hear Michael Wilbon, who's originally from Chicago. I hear Michael Wilbon say, "I get Horace." And my ears perked up, and I turn around, and there's Horace Grant.
Yep.
Why couldn't we bring back? Okay, here's what you do, and this is an idea I've talked about for a while. You wipe out the celebrity game, and you bring back the old timers game. And the way you spice that up is you use the old timers that participated in the host city, which means, since it was in Chicago, for example, which means Craig Hodges would be back, Horace Grant would be back, hell, Dennis Rodman would make an appearance, Bill Cartwright would make an appearance. Why can't we do that?
Like if you take, outside of the health issue of some of these older guys, I would love to see some of these guys come back and do their thing.
Yes.
Dennis Rodman. I'd love to see Dennis Rodman come back.
I want to see Ron Harper come back too. Yeah. Now,
like I said, outside of health, we can do it.
Yeah, let's bring back some of the guys from the host city. You wipe out the celebrity game, okay? You bring back the old timers game and use some of the guys from the host city that played for them at one time or another, which unfortunately would include Reggie Theus, but that's another story.
Dang.
I'd rather have Michael Jordan than Reggie Theus, okay?
Yeah,
and the Bulls made that correct move.
Even at 55.
now to the one of the biggest farces of the weekend. And people think I'm saying this with a smile on my face. I'm not, because All-Star Weekend has been ruined for me. The 3-point contest.
Your boy Buddy Hield won, yeah.
Now, first of all, if I can selfishly say, I didn't like the 3-point contest because there were no Splash Brothers in it, because they're both out with an injury.
Right.
Second of all, there are two things that have been added to this contest that get on my nerve. And the first thing is that an entire rack of the shooter's choice is filled with the money balls, which means each shot is worth 2 points apiece. That's the first thing. Second thing that's nerve-wracking, because Mountain Dew sponsored the contest, and this leads to your point of corporate espionage, and I'm kidding as I say espionage, but all kinds of corporate hijinks. Here, I'll use that. Why did Mountain Dew sponsor 2 extra shots that actually counted as 3 points?
I don't know.
Who
and plus you brought up a good point too. Didn't mean to cut you off, but you brought up a good point too. No Splash Brothers, yeah. back in the day, in the early days, we had people in the 3-point contest that you actually cared about, people that you wanted to see in the 3-point shooting contest.
Yeah.
No Splash Brothers. There's really no one there.
No one for you to get behind and root for or against if you don't like the Splash Brothers. How can you not?
Right.
But there was no one of note in the contest. There was no one of note. There was no... Look, I hate to say this as plain as I'm going to say it, and this is nothing against the people that participated in the contest, like Devin Booker, Buddy Hield, who won the thing, and people of that nature. But can some of these people actually shoot?
Yeah, that's another good point.
Can some of these... I mean, back in Chicago, you had Dale Ellis, you had Detlef Schrempf, you had, of course, the legendary Larry Bird. You had shooters like that can actually shoot the basketball.
I used to take you more modern day. John Paxson, Steve Kerr,
B.J. Armstrong.
B.J.
Armstrong.
That's right.
You know, if you really want to go modern day, let's look at the 90s. I mentioned his name already, Reggie Miller.
Yep, Reggie Miller. You mentioned his name. Yep.
I mean, how about Jeff Hornacek? How about Eddie Johnson? How about Ricky Pierce?
Ooh. Loved Eddie Johnson. Loved Eddie Johnson.
How about EJ? I mentioned this guy already, Craig Hodges. Del Curry. Steph's father. How about we have a father and son 3-point contest? Michael Thompson and Klay Thompson on one side, Steph and Dell on the other side. Just let them shoot all night.
Or how about we do like, I think it was mentioned sometime earlier, maybe late last year, we do like 1-on-1 games.
Yeah. Yeah, that works. That could be fun. And this is where you get the celebrities involved. Have them play 1-on-1 with somebody that'll smack them around a few times. No. I kid as I say that. Let's you draw names out of a hat, and this is going to sound wrong. And folks, I mean this as a joke, but let's have Kevin Hart match up with Rudy Gobert. That's wrong. That's wrong. Because if people draw my name out of a hat, it'll be my luck. I get matched up with Shaquille O'Neal, and I'll just go flying across the floor and head to the locker room and not come back.
But it may humble some people too, because I remember a First Take interview last year, and Kevin Hart said he's all this and all that, playing in the church leagues. Bruh. Really? We talking about a church league? We're talking about somebody who won an MVP scoring 5 points.
Okay, how?
And being braggadocious about it, bruh. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And now to the biggest farce of All-Star Saturday night, the Slam Dunk Contest.
Robbery.
Folks.
Can you say robbery?
Again? Why was Dwayne Wade one of the judges?
He shouldn't have been. You there was no way in the world you were going to be unbiased. There was no way in the world that was going to be the case. And now he tries to defend himself. Like, y'all act like I'm the only judge you had him at 9. Man.
No.
Exactly. Come on, man. I got other issues with D-Wade, which I won't go here, but he was just dead wrong for that. And my brother actually suggested, why not have past slam dunk champions as judges?
Thank you. Remember when they actually took away the slam dunk contest for about 3 or 4 years? But then people started crying and moaning, saying they wanted it back, and then Vince Carter showed up and acted a complete fool and won the thing going away. Where are those slam dunks?
This was no joke. And I talk about it like he's dead. He's still alive, folks. This was the man. He was the man. If you want to go back further than that, Kenny Skywalker was the man.
Kenny Skywalker.
Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Kenny.
Julius Irving. Spud Webb. Dominique Wilkins. I asked someone at work this morning. I asked somebody at work this question this morning. Who would you put in your ultimate slam dunk contest? And it's so tough for me because I've seen so many great dunkers over the years. But going from the time that I started watching, which would be 1980, I would have Julius Irving, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter as my three-headed monster of attraction. And the young buck I would bring in to challenge those guys would be Jason Richardson.
Ooh, I remember him. He's still playing.
That would be my ultimate slam dunk. Actually, you have 4. You have the first 4. The next 4 would be Dominique Wilkins, Spud Webb, Clyde Drexler. And the young buck I would bring in to challenge them, and here's a name I have yet to mention. How about Cedric Ceballos?
Man, you don't brought up somebody who I ain't seen in forever. And you are so right on that comment. You were dead spot on that. Man, I guess the only person who I can probably really sort of kind of add to that, someone I wanted to see, and he'll probably get tabbed, but he's just a power dunker. I love Sean Kemp.
Oh, there you go. We can add Sean Kemp, and have Gary Payton throwing to him.
That would be awesome, man. That would be awesome. He's a power dunker. That's all he is a power man. Man, those dunks he did
were nasty. They were nasty. Oh dear God, man, they were nasty.
Now he ate himself out the league,
but when he was in the league, he was an all-star. Give Sean Kemp his props. Now that the All-Star game is finished and we got that farce out of the way, the second half of the season is upon us. And the Lakers did not make a move to make their team better. And they expect to come out of the Western Conference? I think not.
And I think another thing that hurt them, too, it came out today that the Pistons brought out Reggie Jackson. And he looks to be reported going to the Clippers.
He's headed to the Clippers.
Why can't you get these guys on your team to be a third scorer? Lakers fans, look, I'm going to tell you something right now. Kyle Kuzma ain't it. He is not it. He never has been it. He never will be it. The man scores. He does nothing else. We're going to lock up on defense. We're going to out rebound. We're going to pass it. Come on, man. Kuzma's not that guy. He's not. And I think there's 2 chinks in the Lakers' armor. They don't have that third scorer.
And they don't have a point guard.
And you don't have a true point.
Because Rajon Rondo is not the answer.
Nope.
Because the Lakers had a chance to get 2 very influential names that could help out their team. Andre Iguodala and Derrick Rose, and they got neither.
Got Jack.
Which is why the Lakers will be eliminated in the second round when they go up against a team that actually has a point guard, like, I don't know, maybe the Portland Trailblazers.
Don't count out Denver.
Or the Denver Nuggets.
Mm-hmm. Out Denver out.
See,
I like Murray a lot.
I love Jamal Murray. Love Jamal Murray.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I said early in the year, and you were one of the few people that didn't think I was nuts when I said this, the Lakers will not reach the World Championship Series, and one of the reasons is because they do not have a point guard.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So,
no point guard and don't have a closer.
Nope.
Like I say, Kyle Kuzma.
Because LeBron ain't a closer. Anthony Davis is trying to be, but he gets hurt most of the time. You're basically, if you're the Lakers, you're basically one significant injury away from being a second-tier team.
Yep.
And I'll tell you this much, and I'm gonna say this out loud: the Lakers are a second-round loss away from firing Frank Vogel, because Vogel's not going to live out the remainder of his contract in Los Angeles.
Oh, heck no. That's Jason Kidd's job all the way through.
Yeah. Jason Kidd has that team competing. Frank Vogel is I hate to say this about Frank Vogel, and he was an outstanding coach with Indiana, but unfortunately in this kind of situation, especially with Rob Pelinka involved, Frank Vogel is a puppet.
Yep.
Frank Vogel is a puppet living in Jason Kidd's shoes. And as soon as Frank Vogel is out of the way, which will happen after this season, y'all watch. The only way Frank Vogel keeps his job is if the Lakers win the World Championship. Yeah. That's the only way that he keeps his job. Anything short of that, it could even be the Western Conference Finals. If they lose in any series, any playoff series, including the World Championship Series, Frank Vogel's a goner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He gone.
Frank Vogel is gone, and Jason Kidd will be installed as their coach. Yep. And he's going to be another puppet for LeBron James anyway. When you have a chance to get two very influential names, in Andre Iguodala and Derrick Rose being playing one of the positions that you need to solve, and Andre Iguodala having 3 championships under his belt, and he can give you a few secrets on how to get there, who do you think put the kibosh on those trades?
Yeah, you know it was Bron. You know it was Bron.
Who do you think put the kibosh on that?
And I think too, he didn't. I think because the rumor was it was Kuzma and Danny Green, and I don't think Bron would have minded if Kuzma was gone, but I think they had an issue when Danny Green that name got brought up.
LeBron needs shooters. And quite honestly, the Lakers ain't got any.
They're streaky. Kuzma's streaky. Danny Green himself is streaky. You can't count on Avery Bradley. You can't count on him. He's more known as a defensive player than anything else.
Yep.
So, I don't see how. I just don't. Maybe if they change their style of play during the playoffs and start throwing the ball down low, they are longer than almost any other team in the league with JaVale, with Dwight. They are longer. So if they maybe use some of that pick and roll style of play.
But that would be too much like. But that would be too much like Wright. That would be too much. It makes too much sense.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. It does.
It's too really logical.
Does. Yeah.
It's absolutely too logical. And we're talking about the Lakers here, a team that in the 80s lived on logic and played it to 5 world titles.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
You would think they would dip back into the old school and take a look and see the personnel that they have and realize we don't have a point guard. We're in trouble.
And then when Darren Collison decided to buy out and said, I'm just going to stay retired, that told me right there, they're done.
They're finished.
Right there.
They're finished.
Mm-hmm.
They're finished. Darren Collison took a look at the Lakers camp and like, nah, I'm good. And stayed retired. Oh, yeah. And I can't say that I blame him.
Yeah.
That's a look at a team in the West. Let's look at a team in the East that everybody's hyping up, and I don't know why. And that team is the Philadelphia 76ers.
I don't get that either. One of those guys need to be traded. I don't know if it's going to be Ben. I don't know if it's going to be Embiid. Embiid actually came on Instagram and said that he'll be amenable to it, I guess. But one of those guys got to go because one of them get in each other's way.
Mm-hmm. And Ben can't hit a jump shot to save his life.
I don't understand that. He didn't even
cannot hit a jump shot to save his life.
Even before the season started, when he was doing those Rico Hine runs, he wasn't shooting jump shots.
Nope. He's too chicken.
I don't get it. He's what, a legit 6'9"?
6'10".
I don't understand.
6'10".
6'10". Okay. I don't get it.
He's too chicken. I'll answer that question right now. He's too chicken to take a jump shot, let alone hit him.
All you got to do is get you a mid-range game. That's all you need.
And he doesn't even have that.
They didn't got that.
What have I said? You and I have talked often about Ben Simmons over the last couple of years, even when I was in transit from Ohio back to Indiana. What have I said often about Ben Simmons? There are two major problems with Ben Simmons. His footwork is awful, and so is his jump shot. He hasn't fixed either one of those things.
5-Hour Energy helps you get through your crazy on-the-go life. And now it comes in two great tropical flavors, Strawberry Banana and Tropical Burst. They're delicious and can transport you to a tropical paradise. Try them both, then vote for your favorite at 5hewin.com. You could be on the go to someplace you actually want to go. Offer ends 7/31/20. Terms apply. See www.5hewin.com for details. 5-Hour Energy helps you get through your crazy on-the-go life. And now it comes in two great tropical flavors, Strawberry Banana and Tropical Burst. They're delicious and can transport you to a tropical...
How to show up with Coca-Cola Energy. You're tired and you're thinking of canceling on your friends. Don't do it! Every time you cancel on a friend, a unicorn loses its horn and becomes a regular horse. Do you really want that on your conscience? Instead, grab an ice-cold can of Coca-Cola Energy with delicious Coke taste and reinvigorating energy. Keep the unicorns alive! Show up every day with Coca-Cola Energy. Energy you want, taste you love.
Hey, it's Gerald from Lakers Fast Break. Anchor is the easiest way to make your next podcast. It's absolutely free, and their creation tools will allow you to record and edit your show right from your phone or your home computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on great podcast outlets like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started on your next podcast. All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports, and Game Source. Thank you so much for listening to all of our great programs. But right here, it is the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It was a great weekend right here with me to talk about everything that went on that was important for Lakers fans out there during the All-Star break, plus also focusing in on the last part of the NBA season and what the Lakers need to do. And also, is there any buyout options? We'll talk about that coming up later in the program as well. Is my good friend, I know him as Tom Wong, but you also know him as Laker Tom. You got to go ahead and catch all the things that he's doing today at Lakerholics.net and his great articles on Medium.com. And Laker Tom, always great to have you back, fresh off of an All-Star kind of confusing weekend, because that scoring system, while it worked out in the end, my gosh, it had everyone over here wondering what the heck was going on.
It's funny that that whole system would not have worked had the West not come back, the great comeback in the fourth quarter. I actually wrote a post in Lakerholics.net saying they should just start the fourth quarter 0-0, and play to 24. It would have been a perfect way to do it,
Exactly. That doesn't make sense. The outcome obviously worked.
Right.
But getting to there, people were trying to figure out what was going on. I know I was with a party of about 9, and we were all getting together as far as trying to understand it. And for me, I just have a point where I say, you know what, it's the All-Star game. They don't really care about it anyways. It was just nice to see them care at the end. But for the most part, it was 3 quarters of you go ahead and shoot, I'll go ahead and shoot. And I think the target score should have been 200, not 157.
Well, I know my wife came in and she saw me watching the game with the sound off while I was reading a book. And she says, this is the All-Star game. You're supposed to be watching this. And I was like, this is just a terrible game. I mean, nobody's playing defense. Nobody's even playing great offense. They're throwing up bricks. They can't hit anything. And then we go into the fourth quarter. And I wasn't really 100% sure how it was supposed to work. And then, I had thought it was just, they were just going to play for the first team to get 24 points in the fourth quarter. But it was basically the first team to get whatever the team that was ahead plus 24 points was going to be the target score. It reminds me of my girls' basketball teams where when there's 1 minute left in the hour and a half practice time that we're allotted, it's next basket wins. And that was pretty much how the game was. But, boy, what a pleasure. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm watching the end of the game just like it's a playoff game. And it was just terrific. I loved seeing AD actually intentionally blow one free throw just to add a little pressure cooker to the whole situation. But good game for the Lakers. I would have given the award to Kawhi since most of his damage was done in garbage time in the first quarter. But on the other hand, that's okay. It's a tribute to Kobe. Kobe did tutor him, and my wife says, "Who won, the West or the East?" And I says, "Well, that's even screwed up now too, because it was the West starters plus a bunch of guys from the East versus the East starters and a bunch of guys from the West. This whole choosing teams thing seems to – I would probably get rid of that and just play for 24 points in the fourth quarter. It would be a shorter quarter, which is fine because you don't want these guys to go out there and get themselves injured in a game like this that really doesn't count for anything. But I'm sure they're going to use the results of this game and in trying to create this mid-season tournament that they're pushing so hard, hoping to get that approved and, in order to shorten the season a little bit and provide a break in there. But I have to admit, it was the best All-Star game that they've had, and I can't even remember how long,
Well, it just, like I said, it's the end result worked out great, and I'm sure the league is happy and doing backflips and cartwheels and all that. But getting to there is the problem, because if people are confused about how and what's going on and how is the scoring system and what's it all about and things of that nature, and people are trying to figure out how this is all working out, then you know what? You're going to lose a lot of viewers. And that's the thing. You're trying to get more eyeballs onto your product. I mean, the reports out there have the NBA losing as much as 10 to 15% overall in the ratings, with obviously Golden State Warriors being the most affected by it because of the fact that they're not winning right now. So It was something interesting that you posted out there on Lakerholics.net. So it's interesting to see what they're trying to do, and I appreciate the fact that they're thinking outside the box, But then there's a point where there's too much thinking outside the box, and they made it a little bit too confusing for the fans out there. It's just nice to see that it all worked out in the end. Whether or not it's going to work out in successive years and make people actually care, that's another story. Because, again, I'm still not bought in. I'm still not an individual.
Yeah, I'm not bought in either, Gerald. I think that but at least the one thing you got to give David Silver credit for, he's not afraid to tweak things.
Adam Silver,
right? He's not afraid to tweak things and try a little different thing. So hopefully they'll start out 0-0 in the fourth quarter. I thought it was kind of ironic, you see a fan win $100,000 for making a half-court shot and playing three quarters with all of that talent on the floor. You're talking about, hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars worth of players out there, and they're playing for $300,000 for charity, which seems kind of minuscule. So a lot of those guys out there give more to charity than that in just a couple of weeks' time. And the announcer keeps saying, this is for another $100,000 for another quarter, and it just all seemed a little. What happened to the $1 million to the team that wins, or do something special? Frankly, I would like to see them get back to the one-on-one tournaments that they used to have many, many years ago.
Yeah, but then it gets to the point where you're risking the player's health. Yeah. And with the large contracts, and even $1 million isn't going to do it for these players. I mean, they're not even their shoe contracts are even close to that amount because they're so much higher than that. So, I mean, when you get to that all-star level, you're not talking about a minimum rookie salary. You're not talking about a veteran's minimum right there that's right on that $1 million, $2 million mark. This is something about, for the most part, a lot of these players have nice, big, fat contracts, so they don't have to worry about things like that. And money is not going to be a real incentive for them. I think it's just something they're going to have to continue to do to try and find that challenge. They found it this year.
Yep.
I think they need to go back to
no substitutions in the fourth quarter either. I think. I think it was the same five guys played the entire time.
Exactly. I think it needs to go back to East and West personally.
Yeah, I do too.
So it's either easier to identify if you're going to do this system,
especially when they have the selection part, and LeBron ends up with five guys from the West, and Giannis ends up with five guys from the East.
No, it wasn't five. It was actually more than that.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, right now with Team LeBron, if this was actually serious and let's say that roster was the actual roster for these two teams over the course of a general season. That Team LeBron would be loaded. If you would I would walk to Vegas. I would walk to a hotel right here in Vegas, and I would go ahead and lay all my money down on them to win the championship
I would
right now. Because they were loaded. And Team Giannis, I love Giannis as a player. Incredible athlete. Obviously great on the defensive end. And, you don't want to see him on the break and all that, but I also don't want him picking my team, because he, out on the play yard,
not going to be a good general manager working.
No, or even at the YMCA, man. I don't want him picking out the team because obviously he didn't pick out but you know what? I give them credit. They led most of the game. They took it more seriously than Team LeBron. Team LeBron just had to turn it up at the end. You can see they just had to go ahead and find that
make up that 20 points they were behind going into the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
They did in a short time.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird how that all played out. But again, the end result was effective for the NBA. Whether or not it's going to be something that long-term is going to continue to be effective, I still think the target score should be 200. I still think that 200 is a great number. It's something magical and mystical that I think a lot of fans would say, ooh and ah over, because if you're not going to take it seriously anyways during the first three quarters and just shoot, not play defense, you might as well have a high score to attain that really will get people excited.
Well, the problem with the high score, though, is you got to include the first three quarters. In the first three quarters, you can't expect these guys to do more than play one abbreviated quarter. That fourth quarter without a clock running, it's basically they should just basically make it for 24 points. If they want to honor Kobe with the whole thing, since he's become like the ambassador now of the All-Star game. So if they want to honor him, just play the first three quarters for charity, and then play the fourth quarter for real. and just 0 to 24, whoever gets there first. You know, they could do it like you do with the old 21 game, where if you don't hit 21 on the nose, you go back to 11 again.
Why don't they just play horse? There you go.
I mean, you know, listen, we even had blocking calls, and we had challenges from the coaches. There were a couple of good challenges there.
Yeah, there was. But, I mean, like I said, it wasn't exciting for us as fans to watch until the last 5 minutes. Yeah, until the last 5 minutes, and then it became something I think a lot of people would see. But then again, you have to sit through all that junk.
To get there.
You know, no defense. You make a layup, you make a 3-pointer. I'll let you go ahead. I'll laugh. Yuck, yuck, yuck. And then, you know, it's just it didn't take it seriously until you go ahead at the end of the game. So I'm hoping that at some point in time the NBA will look at that first part of the actual game itself and see what they can do to do some tweaks there. Because obviously
I
don't
know what you can do on that unless they did this, you know. They could go in there with higher, like there's been some talk about how many people I think they elect 12 people on each side for each team, whereas the normal roster is 15. So what they could do is they could make a 20-man roster and have 4 teams and play each team ending, you know, your 15th to 16th to 20th guys would play in the first quarter. Your 11th to 15th guys would play in the second quarter. Your 6th to 10th guys would play in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, you'd have your starters play.
Well, there you go. That sounds like a plan right there, at least an idea thrown out there.
Well, everybody gets to play, and everybody gets to be competitive. And you can add up the points for the whole game that way. And, there's a lot of winners, basically. There's 4 winners plus the overall winner.
Well, you might want to contact the NBA on that. Let them know, because you've got an idea down there that may actually have some weight to it.
Never a shortage of ideas.
Okay, never a shortage of ideas.
Yes, but ideas, no.
Okay, fair enough indeed. We'll be back with more of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
I see the potential for basically like another Netflix kind of paradigm shift where here comes this other major player. They have a ton of resources. Apple could change the way that entertainment is consumed.
They say it's the only time this year that you'll have stars from each brand battling each other, and we know it's not going to be the case, but they like to say that, and more power to them, I guess.
Well, it's a big first step, bringing all those superheroes together. There were definitely some parts of the movie that I really enjoyed, and then there were some parts that I thought